I want to show you a tool that I love to use to help coordinate my low back strength and motion a lot better, and to release some of the tension in my back and neck. So these are balance pods. There's lots of different brands, but if you went to Amazon and put in the word balance pods or hedgehog balance pods, you'd find a bunch of different brands. It's an inexpensive tool that really can give you a lot of different ways to strengthen your back. So strength and stability when it comes to your spine is not just a factor of how big are your muscle fibers and how much force can they generate. It's really important how coordinated they are and how stable they are. And what that means is if you don't have great balance or coordination of your muscles, it's inefficient. You know, have you ever, like when I was a waitress in high school and college, if I had a tray laden with like all sorts of heavy things, you'd want it equally balanced. And if somebody tried to help me by lifting a glass of water on it, oh my gosh, it was so unstable, right? And same thing can happen in your back. You want to have everything coordinated, you want to have it well balanced so that you're not getting a lot of that herky-jerky sway, because that's when you can really hurt yourself. A lot of that herky-jerky sway we don't even see because your feet are meeting the ground. The ground doesn't move. And so it pushes back to help stabilize you. These can really change that. So I'm going to give you a couple ideas. Any sort of exercise you would do with free weights or in a gym or in an exercise video, you can also use the balance pods to make it a little bit more challenging. So it's a way to increase the work without increasing the force or the weights that you're using, right? So if you are doing exercises with free weights, with a split stance by putting your foot, front or back foot, on one of these balance pods, now you've introduced a lot of wobble that you have to now use your core muscles to compensate for. Simply standing on these can also really increase the work. If you put the flat side down, you have more contact with the ground, less wobble, and you get that pokey side up, so you're getting more stimulation to the bottom of your foot. It will help your balance. I've had significant foot and ankle injuries on my right side and knee injuries on my left side. And so balance is always a struggle for me, especially after having had a C-section 5 years ago. So standing on these balance pods, if you look at my feet, you can see that my feet and my ankles, they're working. My muscles in my core and in my glute, they're working too. And all I'm doing is simply standing here. If I had an exercise band or if I had hand weights, I'd be getting a full body workout, right? So you can do regular old exercises on these balance pods, but really create a lot of extra stimulation for your core, which will strengthen your back and improve the quality of conversation your back can have with your muscles, okay? So that's one way I really like to use the balance pods, strengthening. Another way I really like to use them is to stretch through that low back. So the first thing, when we sit all day, if you sit more than an hour a day, you probably have tight hip flexors. They're the muscles that originate on the low back at the bottom of the ribs, pass through your abdomen and insert at your groin. If you bend over to pick something up, just fine, but then when you go to sit up, if you have to kind of grab your back and then lengthen up, or if you're really stiff in your low back as you get up from a seated position, I'm willing to bet you that you have tight hip flexors. So one of the great things that these balance pods can help you do is to stretch those. So you want to find nipple line on your body and then that hip bone and come in about nipple line. So right there and right there, okay? And when you lay down on these balance pods on the ground, you'll feel it start to release those hip flexors. So what I like to do, put the balance pods on the ground and then just kind of lay down into them. Yep, definitely feel that. Now, for me, I'm gonna move back a little bit. Use your own judgment to feel where that muscle might feel tight, okay? And then I'm just gonna lay down over it. Feel that pressure, kind of let it soften in. And as it does, then I'm gonna just lay down. And as I do that, I can feel the pressure in the front of my abdomen. I'm gonna turn my cheek both ways. But as I did that, I could really feel an opening in my lower back. So if you have things that feel really tight and compressed and squished, using the balance pods like this is going to be a really great tool for you. Another way I like to use them is to open up my upper back, right? Everything we do in modern life is like this. We work on computers, we wash dishes, we drive cars, and as we do that, we tend to have that head forward, right? Well, that is not how we were designed to be. Our heads are heavy. It's like 10 pounds, 12 pounds up here. And for every inch forward, you increase the strain and those little tiny muscles at the base of your head and through your neck by, I think it's tenfold. So it's tremendous stress to have that head forward at all. And then as we do that, our pecs really get shortened and rounded in, and so everything in the front side of us just gets compressed. So these balance pods are a great way to help us open it. What I like to do is put one right in the middle, and then kind of line it up between my shoulder blades. I'm gonna see if I can get it where I want it. Too far. There we go. Okay. So now I've got it in my middle back, and I'm gonna let my head retract forth. When I show this to patients, a lot of times they let their chin open up. That's not what we're focusing on here. You wanna move up and down in this plane of motion, like chin retraction, and just let your neck hit the floor. Now, if your neck doesn't have that mobility, it might not. Then you can put a little cushion or another one of these balance pods behind your head to get a little bit of extra support. And I'm gonna do that right here so that my voice doesn't sound weird as I record this video. Okay, bringing your arms out into a T allows you to get a better stretch through the pecs. Flipping your arms up and down, you work on that internal and external rotation through the shoulders. Sometimes I'll have people's exercise be, I really like it like this. This is how I get the most work. To kind of do that snow angel as they're laying here and just kind of squeeze against that balance pod and then relax and squeeze into that balance pod while I'm taking my hands and pushing them down to the floor and relax and squeeze the balance pod, push my hands down into the floor. Oh, that just feels so good. And then relax. Okay? The other thing that you can do is put the balance pod under your low back, in the curve of your low back, just to get a little bit of support and stretch. So that might be lining it up kind of right at the base here, then laying over it and letting yourself just kind of melt. Feels really good. The other things you can do are like planks with your hands over the balance pods, right? Because that increases the amount of work. So flipping these balance pods over, lining your hands up on them, and then just kind of coming out like this, or like this. It's actually really hard. My favorite low back exercise, right? Bird dog, like these guys. Well, if you introduce a balance pod, right? I've just made that a whole lot harder. So they're a great tool. They help you coordinate movement in your spine much better without increasing the weight. So if you feel like you hurt yourself doing your back injuries, they can be a tool to really increase the coordination in your back without straining it more. That is all I have for you.